Hey everybody, and welcome to another Cricut craft tutorial. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It is totally free and I am on that path to 100,000 subscribers, so I would love to have you as part of my crafting family. Just hit the big red subscribe button down below. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use a full wrap on a Starbucks cold cup, as well as use the new color changing vinyl from 143vinyl.com. I have this linked directly below, and make sure to use the coupon code GET5 to save another 5%. This is one of the products that I have been so excited for them to get, and I'm so happy to finally get to share it with you guys. So definitely check this out. It is such a fun product to work with, and it's really easy to use. So we're going to make this really fun Starbucks cup featuring Olaf, one of my favorite Disney characters, and we are going to make a full wrap of snowflakes for our cup so that they will be like a little secret hidden gem. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to make your own design for a full wrap. We're going to go to kaylamakes.com to get our wrap template, and then I'm going to show you how to put your own shapes on that template to make your own cup in your style. Let's go over to Design Space and get started. So to do this really fun color change vinyl Starbucks cup, we're going to start at kaylamakes.com. She has a ton of great tutorials and free downloads. So what you can do is just click on free downloads, and I always just go to all downloads, and if you scroll over to the side here, it gives you a bunch of different options. Go to the wrap templates option. And you're going to find a couple different versions that you can choose from. You have mini cups and all sorts of things. But what I want is the full wrap SVG, which is this pink one right here. This includes the circle for the logo of your cup. So go ahead, click download. Now I have downloaded this before, so mine's probably going to ask me whether I want to just download it again. But this is my Starbucks folder under my Cricut folder. I'm just going to call this wrap template. And go ahead and click save. Now what we'll do is we'll go over to our Cricut Design Space. Now you can see that I have done this project once, so we're going to go ahead and just do it again so I can show you guys how fun this is and how to do it. Click New Project and click Upload. You're going to upload image and browse. Find where you saved your wrap and what you saved it under. So for this one I just saved it as wrap template. It's going to open up as a little cream SVG. Go ahead and click save. And you're going to go ahead and select this and click Insert Image. Now, this is something that you do not want to resize. You want to make sure that you keep this the exact size that it is when it comes into your design space. This is sized to fit on your cold cup from Starbucks perfectly, so you don't want to change anything on it. The next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to use two images that I have in Design Space already. I'm going to go ahead to my images and I'm going to search Olaf. Now, Olaf is $1.99 if you get him from Design Space, but he's super cute and he's yours for life, so you don't have to pay for him every time you use him. The first thing I'm going to do is size Olaf to a size that I like for my cup. I think I kind of like him about that big. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you want to sort of angle him so that he sits so he's straight up and down on the cup. I think that looks pretty good. It's pretty close. This is mostly just so you can kind of get sizing right and all of that stuff. The next thing that I'm going to do is go into images, and I'm going to use a snowflake. And you can get a snowflake from anywhere, but this is just because it's really super easy to do from here. So we're just going to use a Design Space snowflake. I like this one. It's one of my favorites. And you want to use something with fairly thick lines so that it shows up really, really pretty on your cup. What I'm going to do is resize my snowflake down to a relatively small size, but I do want them fairly big so that you can see them pretty well on the cup. And then I'm just going to angle them in a bunch of different ways. So what I'm going to do is click duplicate a bunch of times, and as I move each snowflake, I'm just going to kind of pull that little arrow and just change which way he's facing. That way they're all a little bit different and not exactly the same. You don't want to have every snowflake facing the same way. You just kind of want to change it up a little bit as you go around. You can change your snowflake sizing. You can do all sorts of things. It's up to you guys. It's whatever you want to do with your snowflakes and your design. But again, it doesn't have to be exactly the same for everybody. You can do whatever you want when it comes to your design. This is just the one I chose. I'm a huge Olaf fan. So all I'm doing is just taking each snowflake, kind of pulling it off so I can see which way it's facing, and then just sort of changing its direction. I'm going to keep a couple of them the normal direction, and you can add as many or as few snowflakes as you want. This is all up to you. It's all a personal preference. So if you want to add a ton of snowflakes or you don't want as many snowflakes, up to you. But all I do is I just duplicate it a bunch of times, move them around on my screen, and figure out where I want to put them. Now for this design, I am going to put them on top of Olaf. I absolutely want to have Olaf have a few snowflakes on him because they're going to change color too, and I want it to look like it's Olaf in a snowstorm. So I'm going to go ahead and allow some of these snowflakes to go ahead and go right on top of our Olaf. So again, I just duplicate the snowflakes until I'm pretty happy with however many I want on my screen. Again, you angle them, change them up, do whatever you want to do with them. Use whatever snowflake design you want. It's all up to you. I'm actually going to put one more on top of him. And I think I want to do a couple more. I don't want like a ton of them, but I'm going to do quite a few. I like to have a lot of the color change on my cup because I just think it looks really, really fun. And I just like to make sure that it's really well covered, and it's just a fun way to use this color change vinyl. There are two last steps that we do before we can make our cup. It's just going to make lining up your wrap a little bit easier and cutting Olaf a little easier. So we'll start with the wrap. The first thing that I'm going to do is open up a circle shape, and I size it down a little bit. Keep in mind that this isn't actually a circle in the middle. It's actually more of an oval. So I'm just going to make my circle big enough to cover the oval that is in the middle of my wrap. And what I do is I go down to my wrap, select my circle and my oval by holding Control on my keyboard and select both of those. Click Slice. So what I do is I get rid of this outside circle in the gray and this outside, oops, not that. I get rid of the outside circle in the gray, and then I get rid of the full wrap, and then you want to get rid of this little kind of tan colored circle, so go ahead and get rid of that. Don't move your gray circle. That is going to be attached to your snowflakes. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and select all of my snowflakes and my circle oval in the middle there. And I'm actually going to weld these just to make this have less layers because this is a ton of snowflakes. So I'm just going to do that just to save myself the sanity of having a million layers. So go ahead and just click Weld. That'll turn everything the same color and hold everything in place. That part is done. This just makes it easier to line this up because this circle is going to cover your Starbucks logo. Now what we need to do is take care of Olaf because they want us to cut his buttons in a separate cut, and I hate doing that. It's annoying. I don't care that he just has black buttons. So I'm going to select his buttons and his white body, and I'm going to click Slice. Now what I need to do is just get rid of these gray buttons here. Go ahead and delete those, and then he should be left with a white body without weird gray buttons. Now he looks funny. Design Space has been a little bit weird about me slicing him lately because every time I do it, I end up with this, but then eventually he goes back to normal. So it's really strange. I don't know what's going on. But when I go to click Make It, he's back to normal. So that's fine. Now we're ready to hit Make It, and it's going to be a really fun project. But one thing to note is the color change vinyl needs to be cut on a different setting than what you would cut Mr. Olaf here on. So what we're going to go ahead and do is click Make It, and I'm going to show you all the little parts. So this is all going to be StarCraft HD in matte. So we've got white for Olaf's body. This is background in black, the orange for his carrot, the brown for his eyebrows and his hair and his arms, the blue for his mouth. The final one you have is your snowflake wrap. This needs to be cut on holographic iron-on. So after you've cut out all of your other pieces, which I pre-cut the Olaf from something else, so I don't want to recut him, but you guys will get to see him cut anyways. But what you're going to do is go over to your options here for your cut settings and find holographic iron-on. So click browse all materials, and I usually just search like hollow or holographic, and it's going to give you all the different options for holographic. So all you need to do is find holographic iron-on. Go ahead and click done. This is one of the reasons I really love 143 Vinyl, because they test all of their products and give us a place to start with our cut settings. I do always recommend doing a test cut. I test cut this and it worked perfectly. But they always give you a place to start, which is great. Now, this is going to tell us to make sure to mirror and turn on the iron-on material. It's faced shiny side down. We're not cutting iron-on, so you want to cut this one vinyl side up, so the color change side up. I'm going to show you guys this cutting, and then we are going to get to weed everything and apply our design. First thing that we're going to do is layer Olaf. So what I'm going to do is use our parchment paper method. But the first thing that I'm going to actually do, because his nose is super easy to line up, is I'm actually going to start with his nose. So I'm just going to put his nose on a piece of transfer tape. The transfer tape is way bigger than the nose or the decal even. So I'm just going to line up his nose first. Like I said, this one's a super easy piece to line up. Even though I know it's hard for you guys to see my white part of my decal right now, they have changed the backing of the StarCraft white vinyl to blue so you guys can see it a lot better, because I know it's hard to see. So I'm just going to burnish him down lightly. You don't have to do anything too crazy. And we're going to go ahead and peel him off of the backing. Now you guys will be able to see him a lot better. So now what you do to do this method, take the back part of your decal. So this is our back piece, which is black. And we are going to lay our parchment paper down right over it. I have a whole video on how to do this, so I'm going to go kind of quick. But this is a really easy way to layer and to learn how to layer. So all you're going to do is put your decal down. And Olaf, for me, I always struggle lining him up because he's got such a cool curve to his body. It makes it a little hard to get him exactly where I want him. Every time I do this, the bottom of him's always a little bit off, or the top's a little bit off. But I think that looks pretty good. So all I'm going to do is stick my transfer tape down over here, pop out my parchment paper, and lay Olaf down. And then I'm just going to do a quick burnish. I'm going to go ahead and do these pieces on the cup itself, but I wanted to get the main portion of Olaf done that way because I always have a hard time lining up that little white layer. So now I have this awesome cup holder from Chipped Builds. I will link this below. One of my favorite things that I use for my Cricut. And I have my cup. Now based on where my snowflakes are, I know that I want Olaf on these lines of the cup. So what I'm going to do is peel him off of his transfer tape. I'm going to just leave him on that. And we're going to pick where we put him. It doesn't totally matter because the snowflakes will go over him no matter where we put him. But you just put him kind of where you want him. And then we can always add additional snowflakes if we decide to. So that's not something you have to worry too much about. But I'm just going to go ahead and place Olaf on the cup. I've just pressed him with my fingers. But you can absolutely go back and use your squeegee to make sure that he is well stuck down. Like I said, we do have a couple more layers to do on him, but I wanted to get the majority part, which is this white part, on before I went and tried to do this on the cup. Because like I said, I have a heck of a time getting that white lined up for him, and I've done him at least 50 times, and he's never great. This one turned out really, really well. So now what I'm going to do is grab our brown piece, which is just like his arms and his eyebrows. So now what we're going to do is line up his arms. I start with usually his arms or his hair. I don't tend to do both at once because again, I really do have a heck of a time lining up his arms. And I'll try to do just one arm at a time and just press it down with my fingers. And then I come back and I'll do the other arm. It's just really a lot easier for me to do piece by piece. And you can always turn the cup a little bit in the cup holder if it's easier for you to do it at a different angle. Actually, his hair looks good on that one. It's a little bit easier once you only have to do one little portion rather than trying to do all the pieces parts. Sorry, his finger's trying to lift over here, so we'll just make sure we get that pressed down. That looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim down my transfer tape just a little bit because I just have this small part on his mouth to do, and it's not always easy doing it with a really big piece. So we'll just put that off to the side. And the last piece we have to do is his mouth. Again, I got this image from a Design Space. It was $1.99, and when you pay that $1.99, you can use it for as long as you have Design Space. So then we're going to go ahead and line up his mouth, which his mouth isn't too hard. His mouth's probably the easiest part, I think, to line up. And your Olaf is all lined up. So that part is finished. The next thing that we need to do is take our wrap and put it around our cup. Now, I know it's a little bit hard to see, but they're kind of blue. My house is pretty cold, but there is the blue. It's a little difficult to see, but we'll use our wrap and we're gonna wrap our cup. I'm gonna use a medium tack from 143 vinyl. And I'm sorry, it's kind of loud when you pull it out. So what I'm gonna do is just take our design. I'm gonna get this little piece of dog hair off of it, and I'm gonna place it face down onto my transfer tape. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this part out. This is my favorite transfer tape. Everybody always asks what kind I use, and this is what I use, and I love it. It's fantastic. So we will trim this down, but first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and burnish really quick. I just burnish it first because then it's not sliding all over my table, because I'm going to cut this super close to our design. So then what we're going to do, we're going to get a corner, and it loves to stick to this CRICUT self-healing mat, which is kind of nice because when you're going to do things like this and you don't want it sliding around, it's perfect. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut this super close to the design. You don't want to cut the design, so be careful when doing that, but you want to just cut around. And I know the design is really hard to see because this is like a frosted white. It's a little light blue right now because, again, my house is apparently really cold for this material. So don't worry, like if this stuff comes and it's a little bit light blue, it's just probably because your house is super cold. Or it got cold outside, because this stuff changes really, really nicely and really vividly. Okay, so all I've done is cut really, really close to my design. I want to do that so that it wraps around the cup really, really easily. So I'm going to spin this because we need this little thing. We need those Starbucks logo because that's where that circle that we cut out is going to go. Now you're going to hopefully be able to see this a little bit better when I peel off the backing because they should show up a little bit. Like I said, they're frosted white, so they're not clear, but they're also not fully opaque. They're not white. They are like a frosted, think like etched vinyl. Or like if you do glass etching, that's kind of what they look like. So I don't know how well you guys can see that. Oh yeah, you can see those really, really well. But what I love is that you can kind of see through it. So because we have that circle where our Starbucks logo needs to go. That's good. Okay, got our Starbucks logo covered. Now what I'm going to do is just gently, and you can take the lid off if it's easier for you. I typically leave the lid on, but I'm going to take it off for this. And what you're going to do is just gently go around the cup one direction, pressing the transfer tape down, go the other direction on the cup, and before you fully press, I spin it just to make sure that it's not going to overlap any of the other transfer tape. That's why I cut it so close. And like I said, you can go back in and add a few more snowflakes if you would like. That's one of the things I love about this is that you can absolutely add to it. So I'm using my hands to make sure this is pressed down. And now I'm going to go in with my squeegee gently over everything. And don't worry, we're going to peel this little circle up because we don't want to keep that on there. But we'll just peel that. And I'm going to start going this direction. So I'm just going to start in one corner. not always the easiest. Sometimes if I can't grab the corner of the transfer tape, I do not have nails, and it doesn't always want to grab. So sometimes it just takes a little finesse. But what you're going to do is just start, and if that corner's being a pain, just move on. Sometimes I just need to start somewhere else. And I'm going to burnish this down just a little bit more because I can see the snowflake didn't really want to stick over in this corner. And I really didn't burnish these very hard. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in my cup holder and burnish them down a little bit more. Be gentle though, because you don't want to crack your cup. But you do need to use a little bit of pressure. So we'll see how that goes. And like I said, sometimes you just need to kind of come back, burnish again. Just try again. Sometimes it's just, and it can be just that it's cold in your house. They don't always love to stick to really cold things, and because the weather has changed, and we are those people that never turn our heat on. So here we go. We're going to just gently take our transfer tape off. I'm just pulling it back just at a sharp angle. See if you guys can see the snowflakes. How fun are those? And we're going to just gently peel this back, and you're just going to make sure that all of your snowflakes stay down. And don't worry, this circle we're going to take off. You could totally leave it if you don't care. If you want it to cover the logo, you can. It's just going to turn into a bright blue circle. I'm personally going to take it off, and I'll show you guys that in just one second. So we're just gently going around the cup. Once you get past the circle, it'll come off a little easier again. And then just be gentle with where Olaf is. You want to make sure you don't lift any of Olaf. And I'm just going to make sure that with his snowflakes that are on top of him, that they're held down really well. And we're just going to go all the way around. And you can see how easy this is. And we're just at the end of our transfer tape. So like I said, you can add snowflakes if you want, or if you're happy with that, that's fine. Next thing that we're going to do is get the vinyl off of the Starbucks logo. Since we just used that to line it up, it just made it easier. You can just go ahead and peel that right off, and you're ready to go. Let's get some cold water so you guys can see how cool our cup is. Let's check out the color change. So I'm just using some cold water. These work with cold water only, so please keep that in mind. And if it splashes, oh well. I've got ice cubes and it's gonna splash everywhere, but that's okay. We'll just keep going until the cup is good and full for you guys. Or we'll just spill ice everywhere. That works too. But check out how gorgeous that is. It's so bright and so blue. And it even color changes on top of other vinyl. So you can see where Olaf, and that's 2 layers of vinyl right here. You can see where it changes color over where Olaf's vinyl sits. So you can absolutely use this to do like a hidden design. But look at how bright blue that is. Isn't that gorgeous? I think this came out really, really cute. And doing the full wrap was really, really easy. I hope you guys had so much fun learning how to make your very own full wrap design for your Starbucks cups. Don't forget to check out KaylaMakes.com for the wrap template, and 143 vinyl for the color change vinyl, and the StarCraft HD. I've linked all of the products and the websites down in the description box below. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm on that path to 100,000 subscribers and would love to have you as part of my crafting family. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and happy crafting.